We cover many serious issues in this podcast. This discussion may contain reference to domestic violence, sexual violence, violence against children, suicide, drug use, or graphic depictions of death or dead bodies. It is not suitable for all audiences.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries Rewind, two friends get together to discuss episodes of their favorite television show, Unsolved Mysteries. Will they find answers? Will anyone care? You may be able to solve a mystery.
Hello, you are listening to Unsolved Mysteries Rewind. My name is Kim, and of course I am joined by my co-host, Mark. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great, Kim. Thank you so much for having me on for this wonderful, wonderful episode.
Oh my goodness, my pleasure. We have a lot going on in this episode. 6 different stories.
Yeah, we have 2 kid stories, which is kind of uncommon, I would say, for Unsolved Mysteries, but one of them is kind of a VIP one.
Yeah, exactly. And very, very questionable parenting choices. But I'll tell you some fun fact about this episode. This is a fan-submitted episode on our Facebook page.
What?
So we are 2 for 2 on fan suggestions. We will record your episode. So if you have any suggestions, head on over to Unsolved Mysteries Rewind podcast and let us know. Talk to us.
I'm a little insulted because you won't even do the episodes I want to do.
Oh, God, no. No, heavens, no.
We'll get to it, Mark. We'll get to it.
Well, this first episode is crazy. We do have a VIP because one of the parents is Jon Bon Jovi's manager.
Yeah, this guy, I just want to mention, they didn't mention it outside of the Jon Bon Jovi career choice that he had been in when this all went down. But before he worked for Bon Jovi, he was on the road with Queen. He worked with Cheap Trick and Billy Squier and a band called The Alarm, which was very popular, but nobody really knows about. And he was really, really involved in the entire rock scene.
And no wonder they had such a nice house.
Right, because that's what kind of triggered it to me, because I was like, all right, I get it. You're a manager. Like, if you're Kiss's manager, I'm forgetting his name, but that guy's like crazy loaded, but he manages several bands at the same time. I think he might have even been Bon Jovi's band manager at some point, but I guess they make a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it would appear so. These people were fancy. And we talk about 6-year-old Katherine Korzilius, and they say that in her 6 short years, she lived a charmed life, which is just code for saying money, money, money. But she lives with her parents, Nancy and Paul, and her 8-year-old brother, Chris.
Yeah.
So on August 7th, at about 4:15, I know that because Bon Jovi later wrote a fairly weak song about it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, if you want it to be drilled into your head forever, or just for those 3.5 minutes, we could put a link to it in the show notes.
Exactly, and it's called August 7, 4:15, but it's actually Paul Korzilius' birthday. So Nancy, the mom, and the kids are just kind of like running errands around, picking up a cake, getting some presents. This is part editorializing and part, they did get golf clubs. I know that they got those out that day, but they stop on their way into this like posh, fancy cul-de-sac, and they stop at that bank of mailboxes on the way into the neighborhood. So little 6-year-old Katherine hops out to get the mail.
It's like a gated community, really, right? I mean, we didn't see it, but I would imagine in order to get into this area, there's probably a security booth.
Yeah, especially in a specific cul-de-sac. I don't see a lot of through traffic going that way.
And when you have those banks, it's not usually public access to these things.
Right, exactly.
No, it's it's a community. Yeah. It really is a homeowners community, homeowners like association type of thing. And but again, we didn't see there being a gated entrance, but it just feels that way.
Exactly. So, she hops on out, checks the mail. She goes to her mom. Her mom's driving this like big old 90s Suburban. She runs around to her mom and she's like, here's the mail. Can I walk home from here? And the mom's like, sure, go ahead. She
what
said,
do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you what I think about that, because you said that was a questionable parenting choice, but I have to say, I'm learning a lot about my childhood through this podcast because I always thought my parents were more like conservative and like, pretty old school. But I guess they were old school in the way that, we would totally do this. I was actually like forced to walk home on many occasions because I was just being a brat or had a bad attitude.
I hate to totally agree with you, but I mean, I was walking home from school since like probably first grade or something. Not alone, but with friends. I remember hopping fences with barbed wire. And I don't know. I grew up, in the 70s and the early 80s. You grew up in a different generation, so your parents should have been a little smarter. But parents are parents, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm the baby of a bunch, so they started their parenting in the 70s, so maybe they had that. But I am actually months in age away from little Catherine. So I am like this girl's age at this time. She's about 9 months younger than me. But she walks home. She's going home one direction. They live pretty much right in the center of the cul-de-sac. And her mom and her brother are driving home in the opposite direction. So, Nancy and Chris, the son, get home and they're unloading groceries, blah, blah, blah. And Chris is like, Mom, like, I haven't seen Catherine. And keep in mind, Chris is only like 8.
Right. It's like, Mom, put down the scotch. My sister's not home yet.
Well, she's like, why don't you go out and check on her? So Chris like runs to the mailboxes and he's like, I didn't see her the way that she would have been walking home.
Yeah.
So the mom's like, crap. So she like hops in the car, goes next door, is banging on the doors like, have you seen Catherine? Have you seen Catherine? And they're like, no, we haven't seen her. So the mom drives all around the block. She comes back on the path that she was driving, and she sees just sprawled out in the road little 6-year-old Catherine. I don't know about you, but this reenactment was hard to watch.
Yeah, this is like a parent's worst. I think it's anybody's worst fear when looking for someone. And
yeah.
I mean, putting aside any type of theories or what people might say after the fact, having this fear of not knowing where your child is or anyone is, and maybe you're a little bit angry at first. You're like, oh, come on, I don't want to be bothered with this right now. And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, this person's not just being a kid, they're missing.
Yeah, and keep in mind from the time that she hops out to check to the time that she is found sprawled out face down on the asphalt is 15 minutes. So this all happened very, very quickly.
In Texas in the beginning of August.
Exactly. So the mom says, I know you're not supposed to pick anybody up that has an injury, but I had to pick her up. It was too hot to just let her lay there on the asphalt. So she picks her up and she kind of like chucks her in the back of the car, and she and Chris like hightail it to the emergency room, which is 20 minutes away.
But I would imagine here, is the ambulance going to get there 5 minutes quicker? The way I see it is if the ambulance has to come there, they have to go back, right?
Right.
So if you're throwing them in the car, it's a one-way trip. I don't know. As anyone, like I would scoop up the child and say, let's go. And I was saying, today everyone has a phone. It's possible she didn't have a phone. They seem well off. They probably had a phone.
Exactly. A car phone, maybe even.
Yeah.
But let me throw this out at you. If the ambulance does get there 5 minutes quicker, the whole time they have people working on her.
True. That's, you know what? I'm not saying I'd make the right choice. I'm just saying it would be the marked choice that would get me on Unsolved Mysteries, maybe.
For sure. And have me looking at you with the side eye. But, it turns out that Catherine, the little girl, suffered a fractured skull, and she was brain dead and on a ventilator and was pronounced dead at 11:30 p.m. that night.
6 years old. It's crazy. It's like Little Kim. Not Little
week,
Kim, but
I know what you mean. But 1 week before she was scheduled to start first grade. So it's so sad.
Yes.
So we kind of start talking to the medical examiner. He says that he doesn't think that she died from a hit and run. Everybody is just assuming it's a hit and run, but keep in mind, it's like a sleepy little cul-de-sac, and she didn't really suffer too many injuries, not injuries that you would think of with a hit and run. She had the fractured skull, obviously. She had like abrasions on her right hip, the small of her back, her left shoulder, and on both of her knees. So the medical examiner says that it was probably from either jumping, falling, or being thrown from a moving vehicle. Now, Just this morning, I found this article, which we will post a link to on our Facebook page, that this medical examiner has more than a few whoopsie-daisies of autopsies, in his past. He messed up big on, like, simple stuff. Like, he said that, this one victim was a man and that the victim had a penis and everything, and then they exhume the body and take DNA. It turns out it's the body of an elderly woman.
Well, it's an honest mistake.
Well, there are like big deals. Yeah, and that's one of a ton that there are in his 28 years as a medical examiner, and some people have been executed over. Like, it is crazy. So let's take everything this guy says with a grain of salt.
That is horrible. Like, when I hear, like, okay, you were executed. Like, somebody is executed because of this guy's blunder. Isn't there some level of criminality there?
I mean, one would assume so. I know that because this whole article that I read, it was very anti-death penalty. So, you're going to get a very slanted view. But they said that this other medical examiner during the same time in Texas had all these errors and blunders where she was actually like covering up evidence, and she was fined $1,000 and was allowed to just keep doing her thing.
Oh my God. Was there any association to Bon Jovi? Maybe?
No, there wasn't on this. But one of the theories is that somehow Katherine jumped onto the back of the family SUV without Nancy knowing, and that she fell off when Nancy kind of rounded the corner of her cul-de-sac.
I feel like I've done this. Like, I'm not lying. I'm thinking when I was a kid, I know that I've done it like in snow, called skitching. I don't know if you've ever done skitching. Again, you are a California girl, so you probably didn't have so much experience with gross, snowy, slushy weather. But I know I've done this, maybe not at 6, but when it would, it's a huge snowstorm, whatever, you'd go up to a car that's kind of going and you grab you grab the bumper and you just kind of slide along the snow.
Yeah, my sister did that with a golf cart on a pair of rollerblades, and oh my God, she pretty much lost like the whole back of her leg. It was gnarly. But, it's very interesting because couldn't you see a mom being like, yeah, sure, Katherine, hop on back. The kid's like, Mom, can I do that fun thing that we used to do? And she's like, sure, honey, go ahead. The only thing is that they said, she, at the time of the accident, Katherine did have a broken left thumb. So it would have been hard for her to hold on. And it was really, really hot. But if anything, that just means that it would have been harder to hold on to and that she's more likely to have fallen off.
But what if she were to fall and grab the door? Wouldn't that open? That's what they said.
That's what they said, but if it's locked, I mean, you're driving, presumably your trunk would be locked.
My doors are locked 99% of the time.
Yeah, same. But, I don't have a 90s Suburban either, but I'm assuming the same thing. Now, here's Jack's theory. We need a segment called Jack's Theory. I'm sorry. Oh, my God, I would love that. And it's just like his pre-recorded thoughts.
That actually is a great idea.
Yeah, I will mark that down. But his theory is that the little girl runs over, hands her mom the mail on the driver's side. Then she goes, can I walk home, whatever. The mom says, yeah, sure. She runs around the front, and the mom can't see over the big SUV hood and starts going.
The little girl's bus theory.
Yes, exactly. And the little girl's just holding on, which it would explain, part of her hip being gone and her shoulders and stuff like that. And then she just skids out because on what theory is an abductor picking this girl up, killing her in 15 minutes, and then placing her on the cul-de-sac on the way that her mom went home? I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
Do you think the girl looked 6? And this doesn't really matter, really. But when I was looking at her, I kept thinking she was like 10 or 11 or something.
Oh, really? No, I definitely thought she looked 6, especially during that piano recital. I definitely thought she looked very little.
I don't know. I did not get the impression that she was so young. Not that it matters. Yeah. I'm just not really sure. Yeah. She has like the two-tone hair, I think, and I don't know. Like, I'm just wondering what the day-to-day life was like with this family.
And I know that you mentioned in the notes, say that, hypothetically speaking, Jack's theory is correct.
Yeah.
The little girl's holding on, she rolls off. All it takes is one good crack to your soft little skull, to have a fracture and be brain dead. So what if that happens, and then similar with the John Bonet case, as you've said, we know that families can keep secrets.
Is it possible she did this and didn't even notice because she was cranking some Bon Jovi or something?
100%. No, 100%. Even if she grabbed onto the back, if she grabbed onto the front, whatever way, it is completely possible she didn't know. I'm sure in her mind, she's like, okay, so it's my husband's birthday today. I got to cook the roast. I got to put on my hot lingerie. Like, I got to make sure the kids are in bed,
And
like,
she floors it. Yeah.
And did you see how recklessly they did show the Suburban driving in the reenactment? That mom was like taking the corners like crazy. And I don't know if they threw that in there for us or what.
I didn't recall, the driving style, but I believe you.
Yeah.
It's just, I could totally see there being, I think no matter whatever happened, it's an accident. I do believe that. I just don't believe the end result story. And I don't know if that means I have a tinfoil hat, which I think would be an interesting giveaway for Unsolved Mysteries Rewind.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, all right, make a note right next to Jack's segment.
Well, apparently there was like a vacant lot near the mailboxes. So the police brought in search dogs and stuff, and they did pick up Katherine's scent there. But then it just vanished. So the family hires their own private investigator because according to articles that I read, the police were kind of closing in on the mom, Nancy.
Yeah.
And so the family hired their own private investigator who we see on the show, Barbara O'Brien. And she comes in to refute or whatever, kind of put her own stuff out there. And she says that the dogs picked up the scent and then stopped, meaning that an abductor grabbed her, put her in a car, and then she either jumped or was just tossed out or whatever happened.
No,
but
it could be cut and dry. I'm sorry, go on.
No, that's exactly what I mean. It's Occam's razor. The most simple explanation is usually what it is. I don't see all this complicating it on a cul-de-sac in the middle of an afternoon, in this little Richie Rich neighborhood. You don't think that they would spot a foreign car from a mile away and have all those neighbors peeking out the window, writing down license plate numbers?
Not to mention, I'm sure there's also those cruisers, the security cars and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even live in a community like that. And we have guys driving around here at all times, it's, I do believe, like I said before, I believe it's 100% of an accident. And at this point, if we didn't put the parents on camera, we'd be moving on to the next story. But yeah. I just don't believe the parents.
There's something about the mom. I know I wrote this and it's not conclusive, but there is a way to tell kind of if somebody's lying is when they're telling you something, they're shaking their head no,
yes.
as if don't believe what I'm saying. And she shakes her head no the whole time that she says, and I quote, "I know someone moved her there. I know someone laid her there for me to find." If you look, she is completely shaking her head no.
Now, I bring up neurolinguistic programming again because it's, I know I've spoken about it a couple times, and it's one of these things I find really fascinating. But it's kind of like if you have to remember something, most of us will look to the top right of our eyes. There are tells, like you were mentioning, it's a tell. And it's such one of those things that it's hard to describe what a tell is because I think with each person it is totally different. But some body language is just the same. And with her, the truth always wants to come out, I feel. Mm-hmm. And even, I think when you have a guilty conscience, you want to tell the truth so badly that even in your lies, you might put a little bit of the truth to just make you feel human.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm wrong, totally. I am so sorry. I really
am.
But I
Same,
don't
because I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if they had any responsibility in it in the worst case scenario, but I just don't believe the end story. I just don't buy it for 1 second.
And I would really like to know who was in charge of contacting Unsolved Mysteries, because that would be an odd move if it was an accident. And if they are covering something up, that would be a really odd move. Not saying it hasn't been done before, but sadly, there is nothing but sadness in this family. Yeah. Paul and Nancy are divorced. He lives with his new wife in British Columbia. They look pretty happy, to be honest. But brother Chris became a sheriff's deputy for the Travis County Sheriff's Office in Texas. And just this year, in March of 2020, he died on his way to work. He was involved in a fatal car accident.
That is terrible.
Yeah, so both of their kids are now deceased. How horrible.
And he didn't have any other kids after? And do we know?
I don't know if him and his other wife did, but I know that the two that Nancy and Paul had together are deceased.
Yeah. The whole thing, it just seems so weird. But we do get a little bit of a segment with Jon Bon Jovi, which I just think is so strange. You weren't there.
Right.
Like, I don't know if the very high-powered attorneys that can be bought with the money that Jon Bon Jovi has, or for that matter, with the money that, I'm forgetting, Paul? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Paul had, I'm just not really sure. It does seem like a little bit of a puff piece to kind of clear the name. And the song is so, like, you weren't there. Like, if you were there, maybe, even if you were, like, at the house waiting for the birthday party to start or something. But Jon Bon Jovi was, like, on tour or something, probably.
Exactly. And like just it was so tacky to even involve him, and then they keep playing the song over it, which makes you feel like they're trying to sell his album, you know?
Yeah.
I would like to know where the money that the proceeds of that song went to. Yeah. Like if it went to go help the family, not like they were hard off, but if it went to go help the family or families of children with unexplained death or whatever, I am here for it. But if Bon Jovi's just profiting off the death of a 6-year-old, I got some problems with that.
Yeah, me too. I didn't look into where the proceeds might have gone or if there was a single or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's a song I never heard of. I don't think you did either.
No.
But it's really good. No, it's not that good.
No,
it's not really the greatest song I've ever heard. It's very Bon Jovi. But it did open up our eyes to a rabbit hole of Bon Jovi and Demi Moore in all of these little things. And if you are a fan, I guess we could put that in the show notes as well, but it has nothing to do with the story.
No, not at all. But we do get kind of like a lighter palate cleanser of a story because we get to talk about a cat burglar.
Yeah, this one's a weird one as well. So Alan Golder is a cat burglar, which is just, I think that's like the best title to have when you're a burglar.
I didn't know what it meant. I looked it up, and it means somebody who enters from the second floor.
Oh, I always thought it was somebody dressed in all black, and they were just like really quiet.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought too. But I'm sure that's part of sneaking into the second floor. So we're both right.
It's like a dog burglar. I don't. But a squirrel. So he drives around in wealthy neighborhoods, and like you were mentioning, it's a clever idea to go on a tour bus of wealthy areas.
Yeah, he'll do like the celebrity tour bus, and the whole time he has like his pen and paper out, and he's like casing the place and looking at the security. Yeah, it is smart. Mm-hmm.
It's like, Lucille Paul's mansion, that type of thing.
Exactly.
And I don't know, it bothers me so much. I live next to a town called Lynbrook, and they say that he grew up poor in Lynbrook. And I'm like, nobody grew up poor in Lynbrook. So it's kind of one of those weird type of comments. Not that Lynbrook is so affluent. It's just, you don't really, even in the 50s, it was not a poor area. So, and he grew up there in the late 70s, so certainly wasn't. But yeah, he grew up stealing at the age of 6, and he got really involved into it, like a really large heist in the late 70s, where he stole $25 million worth of jewelry.
And they said at this point, like, he didn't even need the money. He just liked it. Like, when you,
I like money too, though.
Yeah, exactly. So he's doing that. And he didn't realize it at first, but he would go and pawn off all this jewelry at this place that happened to be like a huge mob front. So he starts to get a little entangled with the mob.
I believe he knew it. I mean, you don't sell this much jewelry without knowing who you're dealing with, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you have to cover your ass a little bit.
Yeah, but they start like adopting him, like they love him, and he's kind of like an honorary mob guy.
Yeah, he's like the Long Island mob guy that just keeps on bringing and probably taking like a 20th of what the stuff is worth.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're like training him to become the best jewel thief that he could possibly be. So one day they're like, we're going to go to the Hamptons and we are going to hit up these Richie Riches. So he didn't carry a weapon. One of his accomplices did. And they ended up shooting and killing millionaire real estate developer Lawrence Lever.
Yeah, that was not in the update. Like, they didn't mention that. And I looked into him. He was kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this guy, like you said, big deal. He actually, I guess him and his wife were kind of being held hostage, and he was able to grab a shotgun, point it at the accomplice of our Dinnertime Bandit, Alan Golder, and then that's when he was shot. But they didn't harm the wife or anything, but he was sentenced to 15 years. But he was only sentenced to 15 years because turns out he turned big-time rat and totally ratted out all the mob people that he was entangled with.
He Henry Hilled them. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he legitimately threw the mob under the bus. And
then he was in, like, witness protection, basically. He was in, like, the special housing unit of the prison because they were like, this guy probably has a hit out on him.
Now, this is Connecticut mob, right? We don't have, like, a Gambino crime syndicate here. We don't know.
I think they said the Genovese family.
Oh, okay. Genovese. But
Genovese.
Calm down with that Italian talk. No, but yeah, it's Genovese. But it's and that's another one of the very large organized crime organizations of the time. I'm not sure if they're still around. I don't want to know.
No,
God bless you.
Don't contact
God
us.
bless you. But
So he would actually, while he was in prison, he would subscribe to these like Hollywood architecture magazines and stuff where celebrities would be like, hey, this is my crib, and like show off their house. And then he would case it from inside while he was in prison.
Again, kind of maybe not so obviously genius, but for him he's probably looking at the weirdest little details, like maybe outside the window, like he sees the house next door, and he's like, all right, maybe if I can figure out what that house is, I can get the exact address or something.
Totally. Like I thought this guy was kind of cool, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was a genius in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so he gets out, and a rash of burglaries break out, and he's not a suspect at the time. He's still on parole. He's checking in with his parole officer, but in Greenwich, Connecticut, he actually tied up a homeowner and he stole her car, and then he was caught. And then because he restrained her, he was charged with like kidnapping. He's got grand theft auto on top of all the other burglaries because they kind of put him together that he's still burglarizing. So he's got 23 counts of burglary.
Yeah, not great, but he is. Well, he could be out right now. You were mentioning he had gotten. He was caught in Belgium in 2006 and convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison, but that was in 2006. So really, he might have been out already with the whole coronavirus thing.
I wouldn't be surprised. Good behavior, they pretty much cut your time in half. So, I mean, he could have been out in 2013. We don't know, but I don't know. Interesting guy. Interesting story.
I think it's interesting that he went off to Belgium and, got caught there.
Yeah, he was living under an assumed name, and if memory serves correctly, he got busted for a burglary out there, and then he got extradited.
Wow. Criminals, it's one of those things where no matter where you are, it's just amazing from Lynbrook to Belgium. It's like this guy who basically, they state he grew up poor, really made a name for himself and really put his fingerprints on everything, but unfortunately he got caught almost all the big times, at least. Yeah,
exactly. So if you're in Greenwich, if you're in the Hamptons, maybe make sure your locks are a little tighter on the second floor.
Yeah. Long Island is getting a big influx of city idiots. And I like to call them idiots. But because of, everyone's moving out of the city. And like we're talking in droves. And my town alone, we had like a bunch of houses for sale. And they're all sold already. Like we get like updates as like, hey, your house went up in value, and it's usually like 3% or something, and it's gone up like 15%. And we're getting so many new people here. And I'm not saying I'm in a super wealthy area, but it's definitely an okay area. But as you go east on Long Island, there's this influx. So there's going to be all this new wealth and all these new faces on Long Island. I definitely think that this level of criminality is going to just be elevated here. Because there's so much new money to the area coming in. And
you heard it here first.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm close enough to Queens. I don't think it'll truly affect me at all.
Nice.
We're too tough. And the reason why I can predict this in the future is because I study my Torah.
What an excellent segue.
And as I scroll through my Torah, so the Bible code, Michael Drosnin wrote the Bible Code back in 1997. Unfortunately, Michael just passed away on the 9th of June.
Right.
And he died of a heart illness. I was like, oh my God, hopefully he didn't die from coronavirus. But from what I could tell, it was a heart type of thing. And he died in the 70s. And I really liked this guy until you were like, does this guy blink? And I'm like, he blinks. What is she talking about? It's Kim. So I put it on. And I don't think he blinked once.
No, it was so upsetting. I was watching it. I didn't even listen the first time. I was just like, is he ever going to blink? It was like The Shining.
My eyes are getting dry watching.
Yes. So it was a little creepy. But basically his whole premise, because he wrote the book and he's trying to shill it on Unsolved Mysteries, is that some of the biggest events in history were predicted in the Torah, including the Oklahoma City bombing, the Kobe, Japan earthquake, and the Gulf War.
Yeah. All of that was very eye-opening, and I don't know. What do you think about this? When you first heard it, were you like, oh, this is all hooey?
I was like, this is cool. I'm excited to see where this goes and what happens when you look up my name or Unsolved Mysteries Rewind.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not like, is the cause of, and
yeah, exactly.
So I've heard about this. This falls into that whole conspiracy theory thing, and cryptologists make it a point to, look for these codes, looking for ciphers within, and I think that it's something that probably in the past 150 years, modern man has, really gotten into. Have you ever heard of like the Enigma machine?
No.
The Enigma machine was a Nazi cryptology device that wasn't cracked. There was a film about it. I forget the film, but it was a big film just a couple of years ago. But it was one of these things where, spies would send secret things through cryptology. And even right now, cryptology is a huge thing in the world of shortwave radio. Mm-hmm. And it's become like this whole other thing. Now,
if you're curious, by the way, The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch is the movie.
Yes. Yeah. And I've never seen it. I heard it was wonderful.
No, same.
But you never saw it? Mm-mm. Okay. Well.
Google.
So, did you, I'm sorry, I got distracted for just a moment, but did you get to the Torah being spelled out every 50 letters in Hebrew?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the weird thing about this is I don't know if they don't talk about whether or not it's 50 Hebrew letters or if it is 50 English letters. Because we're talking about different versions of the Torah. There are different versions, King James Bible. These are different, I hate to say the word interpretations, but there are a lot of different interpretations. So if you want the most accurate version of the Bible, you would go to the Torah, but you would also look for an Aramaic version of the Torah, which is probably the most, it's as early as a version that we have. People also say, well, how do you know that the Bible hasn't been changed over time? And this is where it gets kind of weird to me. Maybe, and this is a little bit getting into the whole cryptology of it, if it's possible to put a fingerprint in there, a type of what some people use, they call it a hash digitally, where you can confirm that the file you're downloading is the file that you're supposed to be downloading and not a file that has been manipulated with the virus. It just kind of compares it through kind of a crypto key. That maybe these little indicators, if there's any corruption, these things vanish. So if you can read through it and Torah is spelled out every 50 letters, well, you know that it's not corrupted, because it's hidden as well. Nobody would know that, oh, let's remove this section. I mean, unless you knew that it was there, you couldn't really remove that section without corrupting the entire text. So
interesting.
I just don't know if they're like, well, it exists every 50 letters. Well, how many times? Is that throughout? And the Torah is very long, and it's, of course, the first several books of the Old Testament. And I love the way they go, and it was written before the birth of Christ. And it's like, well, the Torah doesn't really have the New Testament. So that gets, we don't really pay so much attention to the sequel. And no offense to anybody who's religious. I have total respect for Christianity and Catholicism. But I'm just saying what we're talking about now is like the older books of the Bible. So I don't know. I want to look into this more. I thought I had this book, but I don't. And I don't think I do. But I think I'm going to order it on Amazon. You can get like a used copy for like $3.
Yeah, definitely. Something to add to our Unsolved Mysteries Rewind library, because there are so many books that are talked about on this show. But it's interesting because they pull this like skip code together, basically, where they can search through all this text. Yeah, and search for like names, events, whatever, and see what the Torah has to say about it. So they look for the word Hitler, and it's encoded with the words Nazi, enemy, evil man, and slaughter. And they look for Pearl Harbor, and it is destruction of fortress, World War, and December 7th. Just a ton of stuff. They look up Shakespeare, and it's embedded with Macbeth, Hamlet. They looked up Man on the Moon, and it was encoded with the words spaceship and Apollo 11. So it's very interesting.
But I thought I wrote this here. Maybe I sent it to you on PM. But there's a phenomenon called pareidolia. And pareidolia is, when you're hanging out with Jack and you guys are in the grass and you're staring at the skies and the clouds come by and you're like, oh, that one looks like George Washington,
Totally.
What?
Yeah, no, totally.
You're being kids, you know what I mean? It's like you're just kind of, you're staring at the clouds, and we've all done it. So, and you're like, oh, that one looks like a Volkswagen Beetle and blah, blah, blah. So the mind wants to create something from nothing. And it also falls into that category of the more you seek out something, the more you find. And I'm wondering is if we're seeing every 50 letter spelling out Torah, okay, well that's not something that is just easily dismissed. But if you're like, well, we found Pearl Harbor because we found PH, or Hitler, and I don't. It could exist, but I would think that that thing that I was talking about before, with a fingerprint and there being a type of thing, it would be the only way to tell if it's really in there is to, I guess, look for it. And I'm wondering if the book shows examples of it, and that's what I'm really interested in looking at. If this is real, let's just put aside that it's fake. All right, let's say it's not fake and blah blah blah. Who could have done this? Because I think this would be beyond man to do. It's now, the word of God. Thing.
Let me throw something out at you that's like a little meta, and I've been trying to understand how to even phrase this, but this is my feel towards it all, because I like to believe in like stuff that we can't see or explain.
I love it already.
So, okay, well, with Yitzhak Rabin, the guy who he said, the Prime Minister of Israel, he's like, you're going to be assassinated, but because you're going to be assassinated, we can work out a way around this to have you be safe. Okay.
Because it's a warning, right? That's what he was basically saying at some point. These are warnings.
Exactly. So if that is the warning and he goes down a different path, fate is fate and it's already written out. So one would assume that whatever path Yitzhak Rabin took, he would be assassinated. Like if it says Kim is going to be assassinated on 17th Street. Well, no, that's a bad example. No, but you know what I mean? Like if it says Kim assassinated on June 7th. So I take an alternate route home that day and then I get shot. Like because it's already written out. Like there's no getting around it. If there is some bigger force putting the fates out there for us to interpret, there is no escaping it.
But there are, if you're going to go that way, you have to also accept that there are parallel universes and you have to believe that there are parallel realities. So if you're being warned that this is happening, right, and you dismiss it, you've now created a parallel reality. And, this is really kind of this. I love this kind of discussion, and I wonder how many people who listen to the show even buy into this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a one of these weird stories because there's no solution. We have no, it's very, Nostradamus. It's very,
Yes.
But Nostradamus is a little bit different because those are genuine. It's like taking a Bible scripture and saying, adapting it to your moment. This, we're talking about actual words that exist. We're talking about events, and it's a little bit more, not holistic, but spiritual and out there. I guess I don't know.
I do think that this is an interesting topic that you and I could spend hours truly discussing, but in the interest of time for this one, our viewers or listeners' patience, I suggest maybe we see what it has to say about missing Florida babies.
But I do want to also say, if you go to YouTube and type in Torah code or Bible code, you can find future predictions. Even ones from a couple years ago that did not come correct. Ones in the future that we'll see if they become correct. People are constantly doing these type of things. I think you can find it going one way or the other, depending on your mood, unfortunately. Yeah. So anyway,
and it's
right.
Interesting. I mean, it made a great story. It's entertaining. It's really exciting to think about. I'm here for it. But sadly, on November 24th, 1997, a woman named Marlene Eisenberg wakes up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. She, does a few stuff around the kitchen, whatever. She looks and she notices that the laundry room door out to the garage is wide open. She can practically see her neighbor's house. Like, it is open to the outdoors.
It's crazy.
She goes and she checks on her baby, little 5-month-old Sabrina Page, and notices that Sabrina is missing. She is nowhere to be found, which I can't even imagine. She tells her husband, Steve, that he is gone, so they call the cops. Police find that they had left their garage door open all night with the laundry room door, unlocked. So police find no sign of an intruder or a ransom demand. Now, interesting to note, there was a video taken of Sabrina a few days earlier, which appeared to show that Sabrina had bruises on her face and chunks of hair missing. So the police right away are like, oh, we need to take a closer look at the parents. So the parents are instantly under police scrutiny. They release a video that same night where they are just like begging for her return, but they're emotionless and not saying that that's not it's shock, but people want to see you like crying over your baby.
Can I also just add, just the timing of this should have been hysterics, because this is 3 days before Thanksgiving. This is a month before Christmas. This is like the period of time where family is family getting together. You know what I mean? It's not a time to just sit there on the couch and say, we don't know what happened. We need her back.
It definitely looked bad.
Yeah.
And what looked even worse is that there's like news footage is just like the news crews are all over these people, and they are getting into a car days later laughing, smiling. Like, these parents do not look sympathetic. Yeah, and these parents come on Unsolved Mysteries and do not seem sympathetic in any way, shape, or form. Like, the mom comes off kind of obnoxious, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, but her hair is made up, so...
Yeah, well, she looks great. But police take Sabrina's crib and the bedding, and they send it to be analyzed at the FBI lab. And basically, there's so many reasons why they're suspects. So the aforementioned tape, they had a dog that people said, wouldn't that dog be barking if intruders came into your house? There was no ransom note, nothing like that.
Yeah, so, this whole thing it's so shady. It's beyond comprehension. Nobody saw anything. It's one of those things where, and leaving the garage open and the door unlocked, there are just so many things going on here that just point to maybe you didn't do it, but I think you were involved.
Yeah, maybe you helped whoever did do it do it. But they end up taking a polygraph, and Marlene says that her results were inconclusive, but the officials are like, no, it was definitely conclusive, but we're not going to tell you if she passed or not.
What's that code for usually, though?
She did not pass. I mean, that's what that's code for. But, they hire an attorney, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're guilty because what innocent person hires an attorney? And that is not fair, because
I don't buy that.
No, it is your right to hire an attorney. You can get railroaded, like well-intending people have been railroaded by not having an attorney. So I won't talk to the police without an attorney present if anything like this would happen.
I won't talk to you without an attorney present. He's right here. and he's half Asian. No,
Oh.
so no, so I've been watching a lot of Law and Order lately. I think I
Yes,
mentioned this.
me
And
too.
yeah, my wife has always loved it, and she's rewatching them, and she's like, "Oh, watch this part," and I'm like, "Oh, stop saying that." So, yeah, what you need to do is, as soon as anything goes wrong, whether you're guilty or innocent, hopefully you're innocent, call an attorney. Stop worrying about how much it's going to cost.
And don't talk. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Yeah, just put your head down and put your hands up. It's just, yeah. I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Marlene says that basically someone like who probably wanted a baby really bad, snuck in, stole their baby. Now, Steve, the husband, comes on, and as we've talked about before, there is something known as distancing language, and it's a red flag, and that's all I'll say about it. But instead of talking about Sabrina, he says a baby. Like they came in and got a baby. Like he's not saying his daughter, my child, Sabrina. He's just really distancing.
Like dehumanizing it almost. Or maybe not dehumanizing it, but more along, just like you said, it's a disconnect all of a sudden.
Yeah, and at no point on the whole Unsolved Mysteries do they ever plead for her return. Like, they never say anything like this. So we do get a bit of an update. And, of course, you guys know I stalked him on Facebook. But in September of 1999, a federal grand jury indicted Marlene and Steve in charges of conspiracy and lying to investigators based on information gathered on wiretaps on the couples. Now, here's what investigators say they captured through wiretap. Marlene said to Steve, "The baby's dead and buried."
Now, this is alleged.
This is what the investigators say.
Okay.
Yeah, this is alleged.
All right.
The baby's dead and buried. It, distancing language, it was found dead because you did it. The baby's dead no matter what you say, you just did it. And Steve supposedly replies to her, "I wish I hadn't harmed her. They don't know the truth, right?"
And we don't have this audio, right? This audio does not exist to the public.
What I wouldn't give to have my hands on this audio. No, we do not have it. There's no place to hear it. But in 2001, a judge completely threw the indictment out, claiming that the wiretapped conversation was too garbled to hear anything. And the judge said that the investigators were embellishing the information that they had. So in all likelihood, it didn't happen, but I would love to hear it for myself. So the U.S. attorney agreed to reimburse the couple for the cost of their legal counsel, which is unheard of.
I would love a list of how often that's happened, because I'm going to guess it's a very short list.
And I guarantee you everybody on that list is rich and white, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't know. But we do get an age-progressed photo of what Sabrina might have looked like at 20 years old. Now, there have been several young women who have come forward thinking that they were Sabrina. Like, I've never had any baby photos taken before I was 5 months old or whatever. Wow. DNA has ruled them out or is not yet completed. Now, here's another red flag that I'm just throwing out there. Within 2 years, they moved from their home in Valrico, Florida, where this all happened, to Bethesda, Maryland. Now, parents of missing children usually want to stay exactly where they are and usually want to keep the same phone number and all that stuff in case somebody wants to return them or...
Well, do we know if they sold the house?
I don't know. I don't know that.
The only thing I would imagine is they were a bit in the public's eye, right?
For sure.
So I'm imagining that there was some level of harassment. I know that there was one particular stalker on. I'm just going to give it the award of the worst website on the internet, and that's Reddit. Somebody created a subreddit based upon this particular case and was stalking them and harassing them, and he was arrested.
Yes, and stalking the woman that he thought was Sabrina also. Like, he was stalking both of them, and he was arrested on stalking charges.
While I appreciate the passion that these lunatics put out there, I don't think that... I think there has to be a line drawn as to who you are and who they are, you know?
Absolutely. I totally agree. Now, that being said, I, of course, Facebook stalked them. Marlene and Steve are still together. They have a couple kids.
Well, we don't... I would say you investigate. You look into where they are today, but we don't release this information.
Yeah, no, I don't like post the pictures that I post on our private notes or whatever. And
Although,
I don't say
if you'd like to contribute, no.
No. But they actually filed lawsuit after freaking lawsuit to the Florida powers that be, and they were awarded between $1.3 and $1.5 million for their trouble of being investigated after their child went missing.
One of the crimes is their goofy family photos.
I know, and they're trying so hard to be like, we're wacky. But yeah, I mean, the last mention of Sabrina on her mom's page is from over 3 years ago, which was a post celebrating Sabrina's 20th birthday. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's another child situation. And, one thing really stuck with me from the parents talking, and how she just kind of casually said, I don't know if somebody came in and took her to sell her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I wouldn't even want to think about that as a reality, personally. And maybe that makes me the weaker one. Maybe she's come to this more of a reality of as to the darkness that may have happened. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to think about that type of thing.
I'll tell you this. They do not help their public image at all. They are their own worst enemies.
Yeah, so up to Rouse's Point, New York, which is, let me see, it's 354 miles from where I live. It's right up north.
All right. Well, yeah, it's July 28th, 1993, and 31-year-old Lee Carter Jr. leaves his job at Walmart and starts his very cool 1977 Porsche, and it explodes.
Wait, can I mention something? Please. I own a black 1983 exact version of that car.
Mm-hmm. As soon as I read because I was reading through the appeals and all this stuff, and I saw it 1977 Porsche, I was like, I bet I know who would like to know this information.
It's a Porsche 924. The version I have is actually a Porsche 931, which is a turbo, but it's still not as sought after as the Porsche 911, which is so much of a cooler car than this version. But that is the end of my story.
I mean, look, he works at the Walmart. I'm sure he's not exactly where he wants to be, but
it's still a pretty awesome car for the time.
Yeah, but sadly, he is killed. There was a bomb under his car. And so police are suspecting Hell's Angels Rick Vallee. And they suspect that because he basically is in this big gangland territory war over drugs and prostitution along the U.S. and Canadian border. And his job, according to Unsolved Mysteries, please don't kill the nice lady with the podcast, they say that his job was to kill people who double-cross the gang. So apparently Lee Carter Jr. was approached by the Hells Angels, and they wanted to use his house, which was right on the border, as a safe house to smuggle drugs into Canada. And so they had planned to traffic 54 kilos of coke from the U.S. to Canada. Carter ended up going to police and acting as an informant. And Rick Vallee was charged with conspiracy to import cocaine. So Lee Carter Jr. was set to testify against Rick Vallee. And so police are believing it's him who put the bomb under Lee Carter Jr.'s car.
I do want to just mention, though, that I never looked it up really, but 1 kilo is equal to 2.2 pounds.
Wait, hey, that's crazy. So, over 100 pounds?
Well, what was that, 54 kilos?
Yeah.
So it's about 120 pounds of cocaine. Pounds.
Yeah.
Of, let's say, uncut cocaine.
Good Lord.
Holy moly. These guys had to have been rolling in a lot of money. Now, in the early 90s, I thought the Hells Angels were, for the most part, weekend warriors. And again, don't kill the nice guy who was podcast. I actually know a couple of people who are like ex-Hells Angels, not because they left under bad circumstances, but because they aged out. Like, they just don't do it anymore. And we have a Hells Angels house here on Long Island, and they're kind of part of the community. So I think there's different sects of Hells Angels.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, they have a very bad reputation from 60s and 70s and stuff like that. But all in all, I think motorcycles are great. But
yeah, no, totally. I would be in California, and my grandma, a bunch of them would pass by, and my grandma would be like, "Wave to the nice men on the motorcycle," and they'd all wave back and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I'm never pretty much personally had an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you know what? I think I'll go out of my way to not have an issue.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, 120 pounds of cocaine. It's definitely a large amount of money. Not even. I mean, this was probably a time where it was probably very expensive.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. I mean, good Lord. But, after Lee Carter is murdered. The charges against Rick Vallee are dropped because their lead witness is gone. So 2 years pass. They're actually gathering up info on Vallee to charge him with Lee Carter Jr.'s murder and another gang-related murder. So he's arrested in Canada. He's awaiting extradition. He gets into a jailhouse fight, and he has his jaw completely broken. So they move him to a local hospital, which is St. Luke's in Montreal, and he has like round-the-clock guards. He has 2 guards with him at all time. So on June 5th, 1997, Vallee...
But it's Canada, so...
Yeah,
I'm just thinking that it's, I'm not putting down Canada, of course, but I'm thinking that it's not like you are in New York or you're not in the United States where, I don't know, we tend to be a little bit more, we lock the doors more and there are more guards. And I think at the time, Canada had that kind of reputation for not being as aggressive to their prisoners.
Well, I'll tell you about this. So he tells one of the guards, I'm waiting on a really important call. Like, can you just wait here and get it? And he's like, oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Canada. I can't resist it. But so Canada. He's like, I will take this phone call for you. So he goes to take a shower with another guard watching him. And the other guard gets completely ambushed by one of his friends and gets roughed up. So he hops on the friend's motorcycle, he escapes, and we don't know where Rick Vallee is. So it turns out this idiot was arrested for a DUI in 2003. Like, you know how many measures I would go through to not get arrested if I was wanted? Oh, it's crazy.
But, so I think there are a lot of people who are like, I've done it 100 times. It doesn't matter. I'm never going to get caught. I got away with so much. And it's like, you're going to get caught.
And then you roll through a stop sign and it all comes down. Like, it's crazy. But, yeah, so he was going by the alias Guy Turner, and the fingerprints ID him as Rick Vallee.
Guy Turner, what a cool name.
Very Montreal. So
yeah.
He's extradited in 2006. He's convicted of killing Lee Carter Jr. and sentenced to life without. And he is also ordered to pay Lee Carter Jr.'s family $971,000.
Where is he sentenced?
I believe New York. Now, I couldn't find a whole lot of information on him aside from the appeal that he filed, which said that he got an unfair trial and that the judge should have substituted his own knowledge for the jury's knowledge. That's the only thing I found. It was promptly rejected. I'm going to say New York.
There were 2 things that I thought were strange. One of the things that were against him was for killing somebody who was working with the government. I forget what
Lee Carter Jr.?
Yeah, like what was they gave him a title. Like they basically brought him up on a charge for killing
like
an
informant or something, yeah.
Right, but how did he know he was a federal informant? So that's kind of a strange thing to bring up, unless there's proof that he learned.
Would he kill him? Yeah.
The guy's a lunatic, it's very nice, though. But
I think he knew. He had to have known because this is the lead witness in his case 2 days before it starts. I'm pretty sure you get a witness list. At least his defense would have gotten a witness list. So I'm guarantee he knew because that's so random to kill the guy who's letting you use his house as a safe house to traffic kilos of coke.
But also no chance of parole. Like, it's just weird to say it. All right, if you get life sentences and everything, you always hear about people like, oh, and they got paroled 35 years later. This guy has no chance for parole.
Mm-mm.
It's just weird. So we hear different outcomes to so many different people, and what maybe you and I might morally consider worse for some people, and they seem to get off on a lighter sentence. And then maybe this guy didn't rat out people, so therefore he got the harshest possible.
Maybe. I mean, he did have 2 murders that he was looking at, let alone all the trafficking and stuff like that. But we do have another story that we come to that, again, I feel like he got a crazy light sentence. I feel like the whole way that they presented this case was like, isn't this guy cool?
Yeah, it did come off as that. We have 18-year-old Michael Wayne Brown. They were burglarizing an insurance office where all of a sudden an employee comes in late to pick up something or another, And we're not really sure exactly why, but he shoots the employee in the back.
Well, I'll tell you why, because not only did I watch this Unsolved Mysteries, but this morning at like 6 a.m., I watched an entire episode of I Almost Got Away with It, which is about this.
Was it awesome?
Oh, yeah. It was really fun. So he actually, the guy comes in and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And keep in mind, the two guys that are in there burglarizing are 18 and 15 years old. So these are kids. They're stupid. They don't have impulse control. So the guy's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And
he said, I'm going to get you.
Well, he's like, don't do what you're doing. Why are you robbing or whatever? And so he just shot him because he was like, I didn't want to be identified. And he even says, like, I completely put it out of my mind. I never even thought about it again. Like, this guy's a cool customer. But yeah, he shot him because I think that he thought he could ID him, because these kids and their little 17-year-old female getaway driver are hoodlums. They were like burglarizing neighborhoods for a year before this happened. So he is shot in the back while his wife and daughter wait in the car. Oh, it's just horrible. So
that is the worst.
He steps over his dead body, takes the wallet out, takes $30 out of the wallet, and pieces out. So that guy's life was worth $30. That's all the money they got for the whole entire ride.
Can I ask, all right, you're burglarizing a place, right? You're going to an insurance office?
That's what everybody said on the I Almost Got Away with It. They're like, this is not where cash is usually held. And by the way, there was also a security officer patrolling the premises. So I think, again, a lot of this goes back to like dumb teenagers.
Hit the Dairy Queen. You know, at least they have a cash register.
Exactly.
Idiots.
Exactly. Well, it's Oklahoma. So he gets life, or not even life. He gets the death penalty by electric chair. Now, There was something or other where it's not constitutional to, execute people. So he actually got his sentence commuted to life without. Now, he served 9 years in an Oklahoma prison before lonely widow Donna Moses started writing to him through her church. Now,
she's
Donna Moses,
interesting one. She looks like she's right out of a 1955 sitcom or something.
Oh my God, those eyebrows are heavenly. Yeah. But she is portrayed in every way, shape, and form as the victim. And I don't feel sorry for her. And I'll let you guys know when we get there. But she's been married twice. Both of her husbands were murdered. So you would think that she would be a little less willing to, bed a convicted murderer. But anyway, 3 months after they start talking to each other, they get married. And in 1984, he asked to be transferred to a minimum security prison. He is. A month later, he and another inmate, murderer Willie Davis, escaped from work duty on a dairy farm, and Donna drove the getaway car. So within a year, the other guy was captured. The three of them just hung out, lived together, worked together, did everything until that guy was captured. They get into it a lot more, and I Almost Got Away with It. But he lived free for 15 years.
It's like Raising Arizona or something. It's so strange.
Exactly. And the same, bitchin' hair and mustaches in Raising Arizona,
really.
too. But it's worth noting that Donna completely abandoned her 2 underage children to run off with this guy. She called her brother in 1991, asked if she had any grandkids, and then hung up.
Wonderful. Oh, my God. I just read that for the very first time, Kim, seriously. And I'm like, in the reenactment from Unsolved Mysteries, I kind of gave her a pass. But I'm like, she was I don't know if she's still around, but if you're listening, you're kind of a jerk.
Well, let me throw this out at you. Okay. In 2016, she was arrested for obtaining food stamps by fraud, identity theft, and unlawful use or display of license or identity card. She was using so many different names, including her own children's names, social security numbers, all that kind of stuff.
That's why she wanted to know if she had grandkids.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I told you this earlier. If you guys want to know how to commit identity theft, that I Almost Got Away with It gives a dangerous amount of information on how to do it. But in 1999, we get to meet Greg, who they say is an Unsolved Mysteries viewer. But according to I Almost Got Away with It, he's an America's Most Wanted viewer who was dumb enough to show his face on TV and be like, I was the one that turned him in.
He was so into it.
Yeah, and he was also on the I Almost Got Away with It, talking about how proud he was, and he's on Facebook telling people, I'm the guy that turned him in.
You showed me a little thing of it, and I was like, what? This guy's pretty crazy and awesome in a lot of ways. But in the reenactment, he's like, I happened to see this guy on TV, and then he called me. To ask if his wife would work at their video store, was it?
Yeah. It's like a video rental store because the wife Greg's wife works for them as a bookkeeper, and he called and was like, hey, can what's her name come into work today? And the guy's like, I just saw you on America's Most Wanted, you son of a bitch. Like, imagine that. And he's like, oh, everybody has a twin. So Greg is like special ops, and he's like, you are going to go in there today, baby. You are going to work for them, and you are going to see if he has any of these tattoos that are listed on the America's Most Wanted. So in the I Almost Got Away with It, she's like, hey, can you reach that thing on that high shelf for me? And all this stuff to try and like scope out if he has tattoos. It was a masterpiece.
I have to see that now.
Amazing.
That sounds crazy.
No, I also sent you this thing that I found on a forum about this guy's experience of going to that video store as a child.
Yeah.
And basically he said that Kenneth was like, or Michael, who was going by Kenneth, was like so cool. He would give all these kids like free porn and candy and stuff. And he's like, we never got the impression that he was like a pedophile, but he was like an adult that we look back now and are like, what the hell were our parents thinking letting us hang out there?
No, you made an excellent observation there. You would think that the scenario that you just described was like maybe 1975, 1976. You think it's a scene out of Dazed and Confused or something.
1999.
1999, like right before Y2K. And
yeah. And this guy's like, hey, you want to see a hustler? Like, ugh. So
it's like, when are you guys going to get DVDs? So
yeah.
It's very strange. The whole thing is, the guy didn't seem to be a horrible person to most people, but maybe he just was kind of a cold, strange guy. I don't know.
Well, the thing that happened, I Almost Got Away with It is like a love story. Like, he really did seem into Donna. But basically, Greg ends up calling the FBI and is like, hey, my wife matched the tattoos. Like, this is the guy who works at this video store. They get a heads up for some reason, and they go on the lam. It's during this time that Donna comes down with like a very serious sickness. It was like congenital heart failure or something like that. So she's like, I'm tired of running. And he's like, okay, baby, you gave up 14 and a half years for me. I'll give up this for you. So he actually goes and turns himself in so Donna can return to her family. He is serving out the rest of his sentence. Now, what I read is that he may be getting out within 4 to 6 years because he is in the Cimarron Correctional Facility in Oklahoma. He's got 4 years left to serve on his life sentence and an additional 2 years for the time that he was out of prison, like his whole prison break.
Now, you found this interesting photograph of him, which, I mean, I'm assuming it's a mugshot, but...
Yeah, it's his most current mugshot.
But
which we will post on the page.
But he's wearing glasses, and they're upside down. And
they're like totally upside down. I'm like, are those safety glasses that you give people so they can't like make a prison shank out of it? Like, what's going on with those glasses? But they definitely look upside down.
It almost looks like they're photoshopped on by some Instagram filter or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those kind of weird things. I don't know why that would be on his face, but they are there.
It sticks out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like the photographer's first day, and he's like, I'm gonna mess with this chickie. And maybe he fell in love with her, just like in Raising Arizona.
Oh my God, beautiful!
It's actually a love story, but unfortunately, there's another woman involved, and I would watch your back if you are the officer taking the picture. So,
ain't that the truth?
So, but that brings us to the end of this wonderful episode. I also want to mention one other thing. I forgot to mention it before. With reenactments, we got a lot of them in this episode, and graphics. When we were talking about the Bible code, they had some graphics that they've never used before, where they would show the Hebrew writing and then it would turn around like on Wheel of Fortune, and and the reenactment of the rabbi opening the scroll and all of this stuff. I thought it was interesting. This is a different era of Unsolved Mysteries. This is where they got a little bit of a bump up in the budget. Yeah,
it was, I hate to say, I know a lot of people died. It was a fun episode to watch.
Yeah, and there was so much in this episode. And and we've only gone maybe 5 minutes over what we normally go, which is amazing. Not bad at all.
Surprising.
But if you enjoy what Kim and I do and you enjoy these shows, please visit us on Facebook. You go search for Unsolved Mysteries Rewind and come and speak to everyone else.
You can find us on there. We'll post GIFs of the stuff that we talk about. We'll post a lot of episode resources, photos. You could tell us what episode you want to see. If you just like seeing photoshopped pictures of Robert Stack approving of Unsolved Mysteries Rewind, then you are going to love this Facebook page.
Yeah, and another thing is, we don't do advertising on this podcast. And we also don't like to drum into your head that we don't do advertising. But we just like to get to the nitty-gritty of it. So, share that with your friends. That they can listen to the show straight through, and they don't need to. They can keep that thumb off of the skip 30 seconds button.
Totally.
Because I know that I've turned my 30-second skip button to 2 minutes with podcasts these days. So, unfortunately, I have to use it more and more. Not that I don't want to support these people through advertising, but I just don't need another mattress or Blue Apron, personally. And all right, so that's enough me ribbing other people, my cruelness. But I'm going to get like shanked by some podcaster out there, I think.
Probably.
It's okay. I'll take the shank. I'll take it for you, Kim.
Thank you.
I just need Jack's backup. But thank you so much for getting together, and I look forward to the next one.
Tonight we have been confronted with an entire catalog of unexplained and unsolved events. Tune in next time as Unsolved Mysteries Rewind discusses another collection of unsolved mysteries. Until then, we can only look and wonder.